Welcome to the Six Steel City Rings podcast. I am Ray Whiting, and with me I have Miss Leanne Lohman and Mr. Bob Quinn. Both are senior staff writers for Steeler Nation. Guys, how you doing today?
Good. How are
Wonderful.
you?
I'm doing okay. I'm just dealing with this cold weather right now, and I know you all in the sunshine
Yeah,
state.
say not Bob and I. It's like 86 here today.
And see,
Yeah,
I'm in the
in
mountain state
Jacksonville.
of West Virginia.
Yeah.
As you can see the logo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's 34 degrees, and there were some flurries today. So
Wow. I was surfing yesterday to put it in perspective for how much warmer it is in South Florida. I was surfing yesterday.
now I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous.
It's always hot. It never gets, I mean, we swim all year round. It never gets like actually cold,
Okay. Okay.
which is nice. But then it's also hot a lot, which is the alternative. You never get like spring or fall or get a break. So
Yeah. Guys, in the words of Antonio Brown, business is booming. Episode 6, let's get it going. As you well know, Justin Fields is in Pittsburgh right now. He signed as a backup to Russell Wilson. And right now, of course, Mike Tomlin informed Justin Fields what his role is. And I think that's great that he let him know up front that he won't be starting. And again, the conditions of the trade was for a 6th-round pick, a conditional 6th-round pick.
right.
And again, this is a great addition to the roster. And as I said before, Omar Khan, he is in overdrive right now as far as willing and dealing. And again, I love it. This is something I haven't seen out of the Steelers organization in quite some time. Guys, share your thoughts.
Go ahead, Leanne.
I mean, I agree with you. I think this is a new era. We talked about this briefly on our 5.2 or 1 episode or whatever about, this is not something the Steelers typically do where we're this aggressive in the offseason. We tend to stand by our man, which is something that I appreciate, but thought that at times it almost happened to a fault, where maybe we need to be thinking about moving on from somebody. So I am blown away that we've decided to move away from Kenny Pickett. And then to see Khan be so aggressive as to go out and get Justin Fields, I kind of half expected them to go get somebody a little bit washed up, to put behind Tannehill. I did hear Ramon Foster explain, though, and then this made sense to me, that you wouldn't expect to see like a veteran quarterback, a very veteran quarterback sitting behind a very veteran quarterback. He just didn't think that made a lot of sense. And bringing Tannehill in. So I guess I understand that. I think that Khan has done a remarkable job in getting these 2 players on our team for, next to nothing. I don't know that you could possibly pay 2 quarterbacks less than what we're going to be paying these 2 guys. And so I think that's amazing. I think it's a best case scenario for both guys and for the Steelers. I think that Russell Wilson is almost there on a prove it deal and has to show something, whether it's to stay with Pittsburgh in 2025 or hope to extend his, I think he said he wants to play for 5 more years. So extend his career by another 4 years after this season with another team. He's going to have to prove himself, prove that what happened in Denver isn't the real Russell Wilson. And for Justin Fields, he's going to have to prove that he's more than the sum total of what happened in Chicago and that he can rise above that. He had a difficult situation there, a lot like Kenny Pickett's with, a carousel of offensive coordinators and struggles with his weapons and all of those things. But he's handled it like a consummate professional. And I have nothing but admiration and respect for the way he's coming into this situation, which it can't be easy to take a back seat. But maybe this does give him an opportunity to truly learn from a vet, be able to be in a wonderful functioning organization like we have in Pittsburgh and show his true potential.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, if you watch our earlier podcasts, I was a big proponent of bringing in Justin Fields. Not so much of a fan of the Russell Wilson deal, but now you're essentially paying Russell Wilson nothing and you're not committed to him to the future. And now you have a viable, real backup plan, because one of the things I was worried about with Wilson, why I didn't necessarily love the idea of the 1-year deal with him, is it could have stripped us down for 2025. Now, if Omar pulls off the right extension with Justin Fields to guarantee that he'll be there 25, 26, and fingers crossed 27, then wow, I mean, you got the best of both. So now if Russell Wilson goes out and goes crazy and delivers the Super Bowl or at least an AFC Championship game appearance, you still have the flexibility to sign him and have Fields sitting behind him just in case. Now, the good part about having them both in camp together, yes, Mike Tomlin supposedly has made it clear to Justin Fields that Russell Wilson is the starter and he's the backup. But I was listening to the Andrew Filipponi PM and Mueller show, and they seem pretty convinced that it may start out at the beginning of training camp that Russell Wilson is the starter, but they're not wholly convinced that Justin Fields can't just win the job outright. I mean, it depends. If you get 2022 Russell Wilson and Fields continues to ramp up, I mean, it's possible. I think they made promises to Russell Wilson, but they broke promises to Mitch Trubisky. They broke promises to Kenny Pickett. I mean, what loyalty do they have to Russell Wilson? I think they want it to work. I think they want him to be the starter. I don't think there's any question there. But if Fields took another step forward, I could see him, potentially beating out Wilson. I mean, the whole idea of a 6th-round pick that they actually don't have right now that they traded, although from what I'm understanding is the projection is because of compensatory picks and veterans they've lost, that they are expected to get 2 or 3 6th-round picks. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those they have to give Chicago. And if Fields ends up winning the job and being your starting quarterback, then they have to upgrade it to a 4th, which I think the Steelers would be thrilled with if they found out that all we gave up was a potential 4th-round pick for a starting quarterback who could be our starter for the next 10 years. And
especially when just a week ago, everybody was talking about having to give up a 2nd or 3rd-round pick at best case scenario for Fields.
Yeah, it's shocking. I can't believe we got him for so little. And I know the rumor kind of floated out there yesterday that, the Bears did Fields a solid. They traded him to the Steelers, even though they could have got a better deal elsewhere. And Adam Schefter came on this morning and shot all that down. He said if the Bears could have got better, they would have, which I was kind of surprised hearing that. I was like, why would you, okay, we like you so much, we're going to trade you for a 6th-round pick, but somebody else is offering us 4th or 5th.
Right.
Didn't make sense. I think it was.
It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. I guess they're trying to say that the Steelers are such a great organization. Like, we didn't Kenny Pickett him and send him to sit behind Jalen Hurts or to Carolina or something, but you did. I mean, you really did. I mean, he's coming to sit behind Russell Wilson.
What I love about this here is, again, you got a Pro Bowl quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and then you got 11th overall pick in the 21 draft, all for under $5 million. And that would have been something. Look at that would have been less than we had to pay Mason Rudolph had he signed with us. So, but the thing is, if Russell Wilson, take that back, Justin Fields, let's say something happens to Russell Wilson barring injury, and of course, the 51% threshold playing time for Justin Fields is, if he does hit that 51 mark, this adjusts up to a 4th-round pick. Let's say Justin Fields does well. Do we pick up that 5th-year option? Because that 5th-year option drives $25 million.
No, you have to decide before the season starts. I think it's May 2nd.
No. Yeah.
There's no way they can pick up the option. I mean, fingers crossed. Fields would have, if they picked up the 5th-year option, would have made $33 million over the next 2 years, I think it is. If you could convince him, say, look, Darnold just signed for $10 million. Jameis Winston is getting paid $4 million to be a backup. What if we take your $33 million that you were set to earn over the next 2 years? We'll give you a 3-year deal of the 33, and instead of paying you 3 this year, we'll bump it up to a 10, 11 this year, as long as you'll commit to the other 3, which, Khan already, the Dante Jackson, Deontay Johnson deal was kind of, okay, we get it. We're trading a malcontent, but we're basically doing a salary swap. And then it comes out today that he got Jackson
Half.
to cut his contract in half. So,
Less than half.
I mean, Omar Khan, I think I saw Pro Football Talk tweet this out over the weekend, is already. I mean, if the Steelers are in the playoffs and win a playoff game, he's the executive of the year. He might be the executive of the decade.
He has to be. He has to be. I don't know what's going on between him and the GM at Chicago, whose name escapes me right now, but holy cow, somebody take his phone away. Or don't, I guess, from our perspective, don't take his phone away. But if I was a Chicago fan, I'd be hot. I'd be like, what is it with you and the Steelers?
Yeah, I mean, we dumped off Claypool, and and now Justin Fields. So,
well, I think I saw over the weekend somebody said that they essentially traded Claypool in a sixth for Justin Fields and Joey Porter.
Yeah,
which
that pretty much sums it
amazing.
up. Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I listened to earlier on Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio and Chris Sims were talking about what you mentioned earlier about the Steelers making these promises. Do you know what I mean? And he said that they had basically said that they had told Jerry Dulac, that they were planning this quarterback competition between Wilson and Pickett. And they said, look, we're not going to ever see the Steelers are not an organization that's going to like outright lie to their reporter or any reporter. That's not who they are as an organization. They aren't somebody that tries to be deceitful. And they said, but there is a way in football in which you try to build your guys up. You try to be positive about things with people. Do you know what I mean? And you say, oh, this is a competition, or, oh, he's our starter, because you have to support your players. And, but the reality is often something very different. And the Steelers are not unusual in doing that. Do you know what I mean? It's not a malicious thing. It's just the reality of the situation. But, if Justin Fields goes out there and blows the doors off the barn, in training camp, Mike Tomlin is not the kind of coach that's going to sit back and be like, well, we'd like to win, but we said, he's our starter. So I think that, I think that they're going to do whatever is in the best interest of the team come August.
Here's my question to both of you. Here's my question, okay? My question to both of you is, Omar Khan went shopping. He brought in some good groceries. If the Steelers don't make the playoffs, or let's just say if they do make the playoffs and they don't win their first playoff game, is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat?
Well, I think it greatly depends on how they lost the playoff game.
Yes.
Just going back to one thing real quick. The fact that they told Justin Fields coming in, he's a backup. A lot of people are on Kenny right now. And I mean, at this point, he's not on the team anymore. So yes, the guy did deliver a lot of wins for us. I mean, was he the best quarterback? No. But this whole notion that somehow he was afraid of the competition. Well, why would you tell Justin Fields, who might be the most physically talented quarterback outside of Josh Allen in the NFL, that you have no chance to supplant Russell Wilson going into training camp? I mean, barring a disaster, but it's not an open competition. But it was going to be an open competition with Kenny Pickett. Maybe Kenny saying that, hey, I felt jerked around a little bit, all of a sudden has a little more weight based on how they treated Justin Fields versus how they treated Kenny Pickett. So, as far as Tomlin goes, I think if the Steelers win the division, go 12-5, and they just happen to catch a super hot team at home and they lose on like a last second field goal type of deal, no, I don't think. I think Tomlin's job is pretty safe. He's probably going to get a 2-year extension here pretty soon, and I don't think that they would overreact if it was a loss like that. Now, let's say they win the division and they host somebody like the Browns again, and they get blown out like they got blown out in 20. Yeah, I think he's in trouble, because now all of a sudden you won the division again. We gave you all these tools, Mike, and we got blown out. We cannot lose another playoff game by 2 scores. It can't happen.
Agreed.
And it can happen 2 years down the road. This year it's got to be a victory. Now, if he goes 9-8, and I don't care how we lose, if we slide into the playoffs as a 7 seed and we lose in the first round, then even if you don't make the change with Tomlin, then it has to be, okay, Mike, you're figurehead, you're in name only.
Yeah.
Here's
I agree with that 100%.
here's another question for you. Uh, what makes a good offense is the offensive coordinator. Do you believe, given all the weapons that the Steelers have right now, do you believe that Arthur Smith can create a good game plan to move the chains and put points on the board?
I
I think
do.
a lot.
I do.
Yeah, I think a lot depends on who they get to fill out the offensive line. Still a giant gaping hole in the middle of the line
Yes.
at center. I think the other tackle has got to be, Arthur Smith is a pound the ball, take deep shots kind of deal. And I think that's suited for Wilson. I think it's
Yeah.
for Fields. I think I saw I forget who said it today. I think it was Todd Haley actually, who said they should put a package in for Fields every game so teams have to prepare for two quarterbacks. There's still some questions on offense. I mean, the offensive line, and if you trot Pickens and Calvin Austin or a rookie or Van Jefferson out as the second receiver, it's going to be real simple. Teams are going to double team Pickens. They'll double team Muth over the middle. And I just don't think very much of those other two guys. I mean, Austin could maybe develop into a slot, but that's not Arthur Smith's offense. He's a heavy personnel guy. So I think there's still some questions to be answered on offense, but Omar Khan is going to answer them. I mean, at this point, you might as well just figure out that, we'll probably end up with Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, and George Pickens running routes. I mean, he'll figure out a way. I cannot believe he pulled all this off.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a long way to go. Like, we're not there yet. Do you know what I mean? We're on just starting our journey, towards camp. And so there's a lot of off season still ahead of us. And I think like Bob said, there's still questions to answer. There's spots to fill. So I think it's impossible to say like this feels like a playoff winning team. But I do feel like what they're doing is very Arthur Smith centric in that they're looking to pick up people in Russell Wilson, even in Justin Fields, to kind of fill the needs that we have in that offense. And, we've spent some time on our defense too. So I think that there's, we're going to shift our focus to the offense a little bit and pick up more of those guys. But I do think that the plan is to build off of Smith's strengths. Whereas last year, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I mean,
just trying to get better.
Last year, I mean, the defense really pulled the team out. And I mean, I guess you could say the defense is thinking, well, maybe, offense, we're tired of carrying the weight. This do your part. And so, like I said, right now you got Van Jefferson, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. That's just three right there. So, but again, but Omar Khan has addressed both sides of the ball. Patrick Queen and Deshaun Elliott. So I'm happy with what what's going on right now. Again, I'm just really focused right now on the offense, and as far as how are they going to execute this coming season? Because again, they've been lacking in points. I mean, there have been many times where blown plays.
Well, Ray, I wrote today. I just want to sorry to cut you off, but I wrote today that Dan Patrick had Jerry Dulac on this morning, and Dulac said that they decided to move on from Pickett based on Mason Rudolph's performance the last three games. I don't know how true that is, but Rudolph gave them competent quarterback play and put up 31, 34 points and, in a rainstorm in the Ravens, won the game with that slant to Deontay. So I think they really felt like their offense was being held back by, Canada, who they fired, but even more so by quarterback play.
I agree. And to Ray's point about the defense being sick of this, I did a piece last week and I was shocked at the number of defenders that Russell Wilson said called and talked him, about coming to the team. You expect like wide receivers to call and offensive linemen to call and all of this, but it was Cam Hayward and Minka Fitzpatrick. Do you know what I mean? Were some of the guys who were making these phone calls trying to get him to come sign, and that's surprising. I mean, that does sound like the defense is like, we've had enough.
Wonder if Cam had an ulterior motive. Hey, if we get Russell for 1, I can keep my 22.
Hang on, you know what? I can't fault him.
Yeah. Well, guys,
I'm just kidding, Cam. If you end up watching, I know you got
Right.
upset in social media. Some people
Yeah.
we're just kidding you.
We're not asking you to cut your salary.
Hey, Cam, if you got something to say, you want to talk to us about, hey, we invite you to the show.
And Cam, like, share, and subscribe while you're here.
Like, share,
absolutely.
Yes. And again, folks, this is something that, again, this is breaking news. But again, we're gonna stay up to date on any and every Steeler news story that comes out, because again, we are passionate about the Steelers. We love the Steelers. We want to see them win, and most of all, we hate the Ravens or Browns.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
There you go.
Guys, any last words?
No, I
Excited
can't
to
wait
see
to
what's
see what he
next.
does next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
There's more coming.
Also, guys, two more things. One, please check out SteelerNation.com. Check out Bob's and Leanne's articles that they wrote. Very enlightening. I love it. Please read it.
Thanks,
Let me know
Ray.
what you think.
Thanks, Ray.
Also, email the show at sixsteelcityrings at yahoo.com. That's SIXCITY. I can't get it right today. SIXSTEELCITYRINGS at yahoo.com at the bottom of the screen. Leanne, Bob, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be coming back soon with some more Steelers talk on the Six Steel City Rings podcast. Take care.